Your Honor, on behalf of Aiden Fucci, we enter a change of plea at this time, entering a guilty plea as charged.
And this is a straight plea to the court. In other words, this is not a negotiated plea. Is that correct?
Your Honor, we have presented several defense offers, and they've all been rejected by the state.
So it would be a straight plea to the court?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is great to have you along with us on this Monday morning. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We turn now to the sentencing for defendant Aiden Fucci. This one's on the docket in St. Johns County, Florida. A 2-day-long hearing set to begin on Tuesday. Fucci's 16 years old right now and is facing 40 years to life in prison for stabbing to death his 13-year-old classmate Tristyn Bailey. Fucci was 14 at the time that he murdered her, and then he pleaded guilty to first-degree murder back in February, just before his trial was set to begin. And as we're drawing closer to the start of his sentencing, here is Court TV legal correspondent Julia Janae with more on the case against Fucci.
Mr. Fucci just wanted to make a short statement.
I just want to say I plead out guilty, that I'm sorry for the Bailey family and my family.
Okay.
16-year-old Aiden Fucci pleaded guilty to first-degree murder just before jury selection in his trial was set to begin in February. Fucci admitted to killing 13-year-old schoolmate Tristyn Bailey, who was found stabbed to death 114 times.
Is anyone forcing you or threatening you in any way to get you to do this?
No, sir.
Has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your plea?
Fucci's demeanor in court was in stark contrast to how he acted as a 14-year-old in the back of a police car back in 2021 after being questioned in the disappearance of his classmate.
Having fun in a cop car. Yep.
Newly released audio recordings also reveal that in the hours after he killed Bailey, Fucci tried to send police in the wrong direction to search for her.
There's like a trail that goes super deep down there.
Down into the woods?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you heard from her at all? No? Now, down this path that you're telling me about, is this like a place where kids go to like do drugs or drink? What?
It's a place for people to like chill out and do acid or just water.
But police eventually found Tristyn Bailey's body on Mother's Day of 2021, just hours after her family reported her missing.
Tristyn Bailey's body that was actually located by a person in the neighborhood, a citizen in the neighborhood, and actually called 911, called the sheriff's office. We went out there to actually process the body and recover the body.
And the evidence began to pile up. The knife that investigators recovered from the pond where her body was found that witnesses say belonged to Fucci. Police photos of Fucci with cuts and scratches. And surveillance videos that show Tristyn Bailey and Aiden Fucci walking east in their neighborhood the morning she was killed. Then an hour later, Fucci is seen running in the opposite direction. Now with his guilty plea, there'll be no more running for Aiden Fucci.
You understand that the minimum sentence that this court could impose for you would be 40 years in prison. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the court could impose all the way up to life in prison. You understand that as well?
I do, Your Honor.
That was Julia Janae reporting for us. Now, ahead of Aiden Fucci's sentencing, Tristyn Bailey's family issued a statement. As the crime committed against her draws many headlines, the Bailey family saying this in part, quote, while Tristyn was a good student, she truly excelled in connecting with her classmates. The connections that she made and the development of many of them to take her spirit forward has been inspiring, end quote. Now, the statement goes on to say in part, quote, Tristyn made an incredible impact in 13 years, and it is a travesty to not see what she would have done. We remain forever Tristyn Bailey strong, end quote. Beautiful young girl, life cut tragically short by this little monster, Aiden Fucci. Let me bring in my guests, forensic criminologist Dr. Laura Petler and attorney Joe Tamburino are on the show today. Dr. Laura, all I can think of is thank goodness this guy was caught. Because if he hadn't been caught, you know, and obviously nothing can bring beautiful Tristyn Bailey back. How we wish her life could be brought back. But here we are, the perpetrator locked up. How dangerous is Aiden Fucci, in your opinion, Dr. Laura?
You know, I'm sure, Julie, that if we were to go back in Aiden Fucci's history and look all the way back to when he was a little kid, you're going to see behaviors consistent with violence and consistent with, you know, some type of excitation and anger and violence being associated all the way through his years. And I believe he's now 16. You know, he's still extremely young. But as he would have developed, of course, just like any other learned behavior, he would have continued learning patterns of violence and associating violence with anger and how to manage anger. And 114 stab wounds is not something to take lightly at all when it comes to offenders. And when we see that kind of work, quote unquote work of an offender with a victim, it's very dangerous because these are the type that are always intermittent. They're always explosive. They don't usually recover well from things like that. And so they're a danger to other people all the time, consistently throughout their lives. So it's very good that this guy was caught and he's going away apparently for a very, very long time.
Yes, yes, Dr. Laura. Joe Tamburino, I also think that Aiden Fucci's pretty lucky to not get the death penalty. Apparently, because of his age in Florida, prosecutors' hands are tied and they cannot seek it. So it's only, you know, potentially life for this guy. Would you speak to that and how it's also tough for prosecutors, I would imagine, in this case, to explain to the victim's family where you can only go one direction in a potential sentence when we know Florida is a death penalty state. We see many cases here on Court TV where prosecutors will seek it.
Yes. Well, clearly, if he was 18 at the time, he would be death penalty eligible. And 114 stab wounds, such a grisly death, yes, he would be eligible for that. But he's not doing himself any favors either in terms of the sentencing. We know he's going to get at least 40 years. But now that this other evidence has come out of how he acted in the squad car, he led the police on a wild goose chase, basically, to try to find this poor girl's body. So, you know, he's going to get the max. There's no doubt about it in a case like this.
Right, right. In terms of what evidence the defense team can present for him, I mean, they're going to have an opportunity. Apparently, the way this is being structured, there's going to be a day for Tristyn Bailey's family, friends, loved ones to speak on her behalf. And then there's a day for what they're calling, you know, mitigation evidence for Aiden Fucci. Joe, what might that look like? What do you think his defense team might present to this court in asking for the judge to have some mercy on him?
Mental health evidence that doesn't rise to insanity. Because as we all know, when you raise insanity as a defense, it's a high standard. I mean, you have to show that the person was in such a state, they didn't realize what they were doing, the nature of their acts, the consequences. It's tough to prove many times. However, when you throw yourself on the mercy of the court and say, I'm guilty, and you have basically, you know, a mandatory minimum you're going to serve, but it could be the rest of your life, you could say, look, there's a bunch of things in my background, whether it's the mental health issues, maybe he was abused, maybe there's something organically wrong with him. Even though it doesn't rise to a defense in a trial, you can use it in terms of sentencing. So I would suspect that's what they're going to do.